What up, what up, what up? Go up. Look. Let me close that door. Had a dog in here already. I was like, I'll keep this open just in case. Maybe they won't bother me while I'm doing my whole live stream, whatever. I was immediately wrong. That's okay. That is A-okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and go live on all platforms. We are ready to get this thing started. Let's kick this pig. Is that a weird saying? My old football coach used to say that. And I've just kept it ever since. I thought it was very unique. You know what I mean? Anyways, let me go live here. We're live here. I think we are good to go. So, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. Today, we're going to be focusing on a little bit more of the physical side of things. You know, I tend to bounce around between, some live streams will do nutrition stuff. Some live streams will do, like I said, more physical aspect stuff. Like we're going to be talking about today. Some days we'll do mindset stuff. Today we're going to be talking about more of a physical side of things. And it's one of those things that a lot of you guys are struggling with, especially ever since, honestly, since like 2020. I'm not going to lie. That's when a lot of people shifted from doing more like at-home jobs, stay-at-home jobs. And guys, even if you work an active job, this is going to be something that if you don't pay attention to this thing, it's going to drastically get you. So what we're going to be talking about today is the name of the live stream, steps. Steps are the great, the number one thing that you can start adding up, that is going to absolutely change the fitness game for you. And the reason I say this, guys, is this is the one thing that you can do as often as you want to do it, right? You don't need to be doing multiple workouts a day, right? Like when I say workouts, I mean lifting, guys. Walking is not working out. You guys need to get that in your head right now. Walking is not working out, right? It may be a form of activity, but working out, when I say working out, I'm talking more like stuff like when you are out there trying to go get a sweat. You don't necessarily get a sweat from walking, guys. Even just moving, right? What we got to do is increase what's called NEAT, and it stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I know it's a big word, but what it means is basically all calories outside of your workouts, which is a solid 15 to 30% of your total calorie burn. Let me show you how drastic this is, okay? Let's take two different people. I'll give you two different examples of people, right? You've got one person who walks maybe 5,000 steps a day, which is the average for most Americans right now, which is not enough. It's not enough whatsoever. And then let's take someone who's doing 10K steps a day, which is something you guys should be aiming for, right? The difference here is literally 200 to 300 calories more calories burned a day, which is freaking huge, right? And let me explain how much that is. In a week, that's anywhere between 1,400 and 2,100 calories, which is literally more than a half a pound of fat. Okay? So understand, if you guys want to accelerate the process, walk more. Get the steps up. It's freaking huge, guys. And that's something I want to make sure we get across to you guys is whether you're trying to burn fat or build muscle or both, you need to make sure that you're doing this thing here. Because another thing it's going to do, obviously, is going to help with your heart health. It's going to help with natural energy levels. And this is something a lot of people don't know. Walking actually increases energy in the moment. I know that seems counterintuitive. How is me moving more helping me gain more energy? Isn't that going to tire me out? No. There's actually, again, guys, I cannot stress this enough. I've talked about this in multiple live streams before, but a lot of people don't quite understand just how much walking is ingrained into human evolution. Literally. We are one of the creatures that are designed to move the most. And I say that because that is how humans have evolved. Literally, we used to chase, and this is something you can just go look up. This is known stuff. If you look into how humans hunted animals back in the day, we would chase them to exhaustion. Remember woolly mammoths? How do you think we got those things? How do you think we took those things down? You think we just ran up to them and started stabbing? No, they would have absolutely walked all over you. They would chase them down, wear them out. And a big thing that humans have that a lot of other animals like this is the capacity to sweat. A lot of other animals, there's almost no other mammal out there that sweats as much as humans do. We sweat more than almost any other animal. It's part of the reason we're able to walk and move so much is because we're able to regulate our heat a lot better than other mammals. This is why your dog can go can't keep up with you for more than 2 miles. Have you guys ever taken your dog on at our local park? It's a 3-mile walk. So no matter who you are, if you plan on walking the whole chat, it's going to be a solid it's a 3 miles. It's either 2.5 to 3 miles. Almost everyone's dog by the end of that is literally I've seen people have to carry their dogs out there before because it's just a lot for a dog. Animals like that, they may be quick, but they can only be quick for a small amount of time. Even cheetahs, guys, cheetah is the fastest land animal on the planet, right? Well, it's the land mammal. There's birds that fly, go faster and stuff. But it's the fastest land mammal on the planet. But it can only keep that up for, I can't even remember how long, not very long. How long can a cheetah run? I don't think it can run very long. 20 to 30 seconds, yeah. It can only run for about 20 to 30 seconds at a time. And then it has to rest for a long amount of time because it overheats, right? Humans are very, very good at walking. It's one of our main things that we are extremely freaking good at, and we don't do it anymore. And this is a big reason why obesity and being overweight is a thing. Now, I use those terms specifically because those are directly related to your weight, not your body fat percentage. Okay? So again, let me stress this when I'm talking about this, guys, because a lot of you guys watch me for fat loss, right? This is going to help you with overall weight loss. Fat loss is a form of weight loss, right? But we need to make sure you guys understand that if you want to burn fat and keep the muscle or build muscle, you have to make sure you're weight training at least 3 times a week to make sure that's happening. More if you want to gain muscle, but at least 3 to 4 times a week to make sure that you're not losing muscle. Right. And if you're someone who's new into the fitness game, maybe you haven't worked out consistently like that ever, then this is going to be how you build muscle. It is going to build you muscle because you haven't ever done stuff like that before, right? So it's going to be a stimulus that's going to help build on top of that. The reason I say this is because there's a lot of people that can lose a lot of weight by doing a lot of steps, but the people who gain that weight back are the people who aren't doing the weight training. Because the weight training is what's going to help keep that metabolism high so that weight doesn't come back, okay? So something we need to understand, it has to be a combination of both of these. And I think as you age, guys, I have kind of this role with my, I've trained people over the age of 65 and stuff. I have a somewhat rule, 65 to 70 plus, I start decreasing the amount of days for weight training, even though I still have you weight training 3 days out of the week at least. It's just 3 to 4 days out of the week instead of 5 to 6. And then I have you doing way more cardio, yoga, cardiovascular stuff, stuff that's going to be really good for your heart health, stuff that's going to be good for your mobility, stuff that's not going to be as strenuous on the muscle and the bone, but you still need, again, guys, you don't use it, you lose it. A big thing that literally reverses osteoporosis is weight training. A lot of people don't know that, but that is, again, it's researched. This is stuff we know. It has to do with something called Wolff's Law, if you want to look into that whole thing. But anyways, that's not even what this live stream is about, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. But something I want you guys to understand here is that walking and getting these extra steps in, they literally make the difference between you hitting a plateau and you not hitting a plateau. If you're someone who's lost 50 pounds, but you still got another 20 pounds to go, and you've been really struggling for the past 2 months going what the hell, why am I just stopped? Why have I seen this plateau? You probably aren't getting enough steps in. You probably had your diet good. You probably had you're probably weight training a good 3 to 4 days out of the week, but you may work a desk job, or maybe you even work, again, a manual labor job, but maybe you're not doing the other aspects of those things. Maybe your nutrition's off. Again, there's so many different, scenarios out there. I don't want to just list scenarios off, but again, steps have to be included into this. Okay. And again, a simple way we can make sure if we're getting enough steps in a day is just get one of those pedometers. You can get a $25, I think it's even less than that. You can get a $20 pedometer online. It's basically like a Fitbit, but it's just off-brand, but it's still pretty good at tracking how many steps a day you get because it's just a pedometer. It's not like you're getting a crazy piece of technology. It's a pedometer. It's a very basic, simple thing. It shouldn't cost you just an arm and a leg. But that being said, keep that thing on you. Make sure we're hitting at least 10K steps a day. I promise you guys are going to struggle with that. Most of you guys don't realize just how many steps a day that is. Human beings are designed to step 8 to 10,000 steps a day at a bare minimum. Every human. There's no genetics involved with that unless you're literally born without legs, right? Like, which is not most of the population, right? But like most people, the biggest thing we got to make sure we're doing is getting 8 to 10K steps a day. I really push for more, obviously, because we have fitness goals, right? That's the whole reason all of you watch me, right? That being said, one big thing I think you guys are going to be very shocked by is that how difficult it is to hit that, because most of you guys are getting nowhere near that. Most of you guys are somewhere between 4,000 to 6,000, right? And so to put this in perspective, I believe, let me look this up just again so I can fact check myself. How many miles are in 10K steps? That's approximately 4 to 5 miles a day, every single day, that you guys need to be doing this, right? And a lot of you guys aren't. And a lot of you guys will pull the shoes. Well, I just can't. There's just no way. Guys, I promise you there's a way. You see this treadmill behind me? I got a treadmill behind me because guess what? I also work a desk job. You don't have to be like doing a lot of manual stuff when it comes to programming workouts, when it comes to hitting up your clients, when it comes to making content, scripting content. A lot of that's at a desk, right? I make sure I wake up at 4 a.m. to get an hour of walking in so I can make sure I hit these. Otherwise, I have a real hard time hitting these because I'm working, right? And so this is stuff that I see a lot of people not prioritizing, and you plateau out or you're struggling and you're like, why is this happening? This is why it's happening. You're not getting enough steps in, okay? And so we got to make sure we're doing that because it's the number one thing that human beings are designed to do is walk, okay? There are very few bipedal animals out there, and we are one of them, and we are very good at being bipedal, meaning you walk on 2 feet. Right? We got to make sure that we treat that responsibly, or you're no longer going to be bipedal. You're going to be in a wheelchair. Okay? You're going to turn into a freaking transformer. All right? And I say that jokingly, but it's very real. It will happen. I've seen it happen. I'm in a field where I see this stuff happen when people don't take care of this. I get it's very easy to ignore when you're not in a field like this and you work a regular job, or you work in a field that has nothing to do with fitness, and it's easy to not think about this stuff, but it will happen. Right? And I'm sure all of us know someone out there who has limited mobility or limited walkability or limited, ability to be able to like even travel because of stuff like this. And it will be you if you don't focus on it. So we got to make sure, again, this is a big part of the equation. I need to make sure you guys understand it's not something that's negotiable. You need to make sure you're working on something like this. Otherwise, you're going to plateau, right? You may be able to get somewhere. You may be able to lose a certain amount, but you're not going to get toward like the full length you want to get towards if you don't include this. It's important, guys. Make sure we are not neglecting this part. And again, guys, it gives you energy in the moment. A lot of you guys wonder, like, ask me questions all the time. I struggle with energy. I struggle with having energy in the middle of the day. There's a few different things I can talk about that, but one of the things is walking. I get it. Like, trust me, it feels counterintuitive. It feels that like, if I'm walking and I'm burning calories, that it should make me tired. And it may make you tired when you sit back down, right? And you decrease your activity again, and that blood cools down, right? But what's happening here when you walk and you move, you're igniting literal human chemistry. I call it human chemistry because it's very unique to human beings. And so again, guys, we're evolved to move like this. We're evolved to do this a lot, and we're just not doing it anymore, and it's killing us. It's a big part of why people are overweight. Outside of fat loss, again, even if you're 250 pounds and you're like literally 6% body fat and you're 6 foot tall, that's still going to mean that it's putting a lot of tension on your heart. Even if it is a low body fat percentage, over time, if you're like 65 plus years old and you're 250 pounds, even if you're like low % body fat percentage, that still means you're at a high chance of like heart disease. It just simply has to do with how much your heart has to push blood to the rest of your body. It has nothing to do with your body fat. Okay, so something you guys got to keep in mind there. Not to say that body fat isn't a factor as well, but it's something you guys need to understand, right? It's also a matter of just how heavy you are, how much water you're able to drink, how good you are, and how consistent you are with getting electrolytes in. And most people are not going to get all that balanced out. The best thing you can do is make sure as you age, we need to make sure that weight goes down. It's huge. I don't care who you are. I don't care how lean you think you are. Again, guys, a lot of you guys live in a bubble, and I live in the bubble of fitness, and I've been in here a lot longer than a lot of you guys. I promise you, you need to make sure you are putting this in perspective. All right. Now, again, why is this walking going to give you more energy? It increases blood flow. Like light movement is, and this is obvious, guys. I mean, light movement is going to boost circulation, oxygen, and that's going to help how you get oxygen to your brain and muscles. And that oxygen is what's going to help wake you back up, guys. That's it. That's a big part of it. Anyone who has sleep apnea can tell you they feel exhausted all day long because when they do sleep, they're not getting enough oxygen to the brain, right? We know this. It's very evident. That's why they wear oxygen masks. So, of course, we want oxygen to be able to access our body easily. It is easier for your oxygen that you're breathing to get to the rest of your body when you're moving, when there's high blood flow. So yes, it does. Guys, I'm telling you, when you feel like you got that afternoon sleepies, you need to get up and move a little bit and get some blood flowing. That's where the whole term comes from, and it's based on science. It's not based on hoo-ha, okay? And I've got a list of other things, too. You get a nervous system balance, right? Walking, especially outdoors, activates something called the parasympathetic system, rest and digest. That system, which is going to help lower stress hormones and mental fatigue, right? There's even our founding fathers knew this, guys. I believe it was I can't remember. I want to say it was Benjamin Franklin used to go on a daily walk. Actually, yeah, of course it was Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, a lot of you guys don't know this. This is a fun Google fact. He's a founding father of fitness. Everyone imagines Benjamin Franklin as like a fat man, but I mean, he was maybe a little bit more portly when he was older, but he was a founding father of fitness. He was huge about it. I believe he even taught a swim class because he believed in this so much. And again, this is stuff that a lot of history we know about, but we're taking it away and we're not doing it as much anymore. And again, especially when we're outdoors and stuff, that kind of stuff is going to lower your stress hormones and again, mental fatigue, which is again, stuff you need for the rest of your day, especially if you're getting tired in the middle of the day, right? You need to move more. And I know that seems counterintuitive, but it's because you've been, again, I'm not even going to go there. You're all going to get me going on a tangent. And we're already 17 minutes into this. And there's a lot of other stuff I want to go through of why this is going to increase your energy. But glucose regulation, post-meal walks are really good for helping stabilize blood sugar. And that's, again, guys, if you guys are crashing in the middle of the day, a lot of the times what's causing that is simply it has to do with your blood sugar. A lot of you guys are eating lunch and you're eating a really high carb lunch and that sugar's crashing around 2 p.m. and then you get really, really sleepy, right? And so again, one big thing is we need to talk about diet there and figure out what we're doing for lunch. But two, walk it off. Literally at lunch, when I was in high school, I used to have PE right after lunch, or at least 1 year I did. And we would walk for 15, 20 minutes before we'd even start the class just to help with digestion. And it helped. It absolutely freaking helped, right? I learned that from my PE teacher in high school. Not high school, junior high. I don't even know if it was junior high. It must have been 6th, 7th grade, something around there. But you guys get the point. It's a huge thing as far as digestion even goes. Another big thing is endorphins. You get a little bit of dopamine and serotonin when you're moving, and you're not going to get, the only way you're going to get that whenever you're sitting down is by scrolling through your phone, and don't get me started on that, okay? So again, endorphins is another big one. CO2 clearance. Steady breathing during walking clears built up CO2, reducing that sluggish, foggy feeling from long sitting. So literally, again, I don't want to get too scientific here, but a big part of this is making sure we get oxygen in. And a lot of people don't realize this about the cardiovascular system. Oxygen, yes, it's super important to get it in, but your body is actually more concerned about getting CO2 that's built up out of your body. And that's a huge thing that actually can get people confused about how the whole system works. It's breathing out is actually significantly just as, if not more important than breathing oxygen in. And it's a waste product. And so your body is trying to get rid of a waste product. And so keeping that built up, and it does get built up, guys, when you're sitting and you don't have good blood flow. It's very evident that you're not breathing as much, you're not breathing as heavy. The heavier you breathe, and that's why we call it cardio, guys, is because typically what is when we're talking about a cardiovascular workout, what's happening, right? Your heart rate is going up. That's why it's called cardio, right? What is typically associated with cardio? How are you breathing? You're breathing more. Now, even if you're just walking, you're still breathing a little bit heavier than you are, like if you're sitting down like this. And again, guys, this is something we need to make sure we're counteracting, because again, that we don't realize how much hormones are dictating this kind of stuff, but it's very evident, like how you guys feel before you start a workout versus how you guys feel in the middle of a workout, or even better, how you guys feel right after a meal versus how you guys feel 10 minutes of walking right after that meal, right? That's hormones in effect, live in action. This is the main reason why it's harder to show up to the gym than it is to finish out your workout, right? Once you're already at the gym, you're already there. The hormones are already pumping, and you're actually in that mindset. But we got to make sure we understand that a lot of this is based, like the way you feel about exercise, the way you feel about how active you want to be is based off hormones that aren't activated yet. Right? You got to get the blood pumping to get that stuff activated. A lot of you guys are in a shitty mood and woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, and that can change with a simple walk up and down your street even. Okay, so it's stuff we got to make sure we keep in mind, guys, because a lot of people don't realize this, and they're not getting those steps up. I think it's just, I got to show up to the gym more. That's good. You need to show up to the gym at least 3 days out of the week. That leaves most of your week still open. Right? Now you're talking to somebody who goes to the gym at least 5 days out of the week, and then I'll go do hot yoga at a different gym another day out of the week, and then another day out of the week I'll go outside and do some running, right? But that's because I do more. You guys know me. That's my whole shtick, right? But that being said, I want you guys to understand, you really, as far as fat loss goes, you really only got to go 3 to 4 days out of the week. As far as gaining muscle goes, you really only got to go 4 to 5 days out of the week, depending on like how long you've been going, right? But also we got to hammer down on the nutrition. That's where a lot of that comes into play. If you want to focus on getting that weight down and you want to focus on getting that fat off, because what fat is a version of weight, right? We need to make sure the steps are absolutely in this, okay? So make sure if you're struggling, you haven't seen if you haven't seen progress in a minute, like it's been a couple months, you're like, man, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It is probably your steps. I can almost guarantee you it's your steps. And I promise you, it's very evident too. Like a great example of this is my own mother, guys. You know, it's really hard to train your parents. I don't recommend it for any trainer who's ever out there watching, but that being said, we got her some freaking crazy results. It came down to her steps. Now, I'll give you a little bit of background on how my mom works. My mom cleans houses for a living. She used to work at Chico's. She used to, work in, what's the best way, retail clothing stores. And so she's used to being on her feet all day, right? And so when she moved to like cleaning houses and she does cleaning houses and doing yard work, she did that because it's a job where you get to move around all day. She's very close with the people she does this with, has a very sustainable and a very good business that she has right now with a lot of people that, honestly, some of them are my clients, some of them are her clients too. But that being said, one thing that she really struggled with was not the steps. It was the diet and the weight training. But as soon, we got her one of those step counters, one of those Fitbits. We started tracking how many steps she was getting a day just working her day-to-day job. Dude, she was getting in like anywhere between 20,000 to 30K steps a day, which is insane. That is 3 times more than what I'm asking you guys to do. Okay, that's how I know it's possible. And my mom is 60 plus years old. Okay, no excuse. All right, literally, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what your excuse is. I don't want to hear it. Okay. That being said, I say that to say the reason she wasn't seeing the results she wanted to see is because there was nutrition still wasn't being addressed, and there was workouts that weren't being addressed, right? And she still struggled a little bit with the weight training. She was getting in 2 to 3 days of the week, so she managed there. But she hammered down on that protein. She hammered down on tracking those calories, and lo and behold, she lost 10% body fat in like 3 months. And I'm not kidding. We have InBody tests. If you guys don't know what an InBody test is, it's a sort of body fat percentage test. One of the more accurate ones out there compared to some really shitty ones out there. But a really good one nonetheless to track your progress. As far as that goes, it was a 10% drop because she was already doing the steps, right? She wasn't even at a heavy weight. She just wanted to drop body fat and tone up, right? And that is exactly what happened once we got everything else in play. That being said, the reason I tell that story is because it works dramatically well, especially because she was doing one of the biggest parts already right, the steps, right? And so that part is super important for you guys to understand that that's a big aspect of it, but it's not the whole thing. Just like nutrition's a big aspect of it, but it's not the whole thing, right? You can't just be on a good diet and expect to have, gain muscle and burn fat, right? You gotta create the demand. You gotta go out and get the steps in. You gotta go out and get the lifts in so you can make sure that you're building that muscle, right? You can't just hit the lifts and not hit the steps and not hit the diet. There's so many people out there struggling with that exact thing where they're just doing the lifting. They're not focusing on the diet. They're just eating whatever they want. They think the workouts are going to help get rid of that beer gut, and it's not. And they've been doing it for years, and they still don't know what's wrong. That's what's wrong, right? It takes everything. It takes everything. You may get a little bit. You may drop 5 pounds or 10 pounds, right, after doing one of these things, but you're still not going to be happy with where you're not going to be exactly where you want to be until you get all of these rounded up. And it's a constant battle, guys. It's never going to be perfect. That's why it's a lifelong battle. I want you guys to understand that now, right? Because obviously, if it's not a lifelong battle, you go backwards, right? You got to constantly be pushing forward. Remember, evolve or die, motherfucker. There's a reason that's on my shirt. Because if you aren't going forward, you are going backwards in every sense of the word. Okay, so make sure we understand that. Make sure we constantly push forward. And that's all I've got for you guys today. We're running long. This is like a 25-minute live stream. Make sure we're not going too long here. But guys, get those steps in, at least 10K steps a day. Do more if you want to do more. That's completely fine. Just make sure it doesn't interfere with the weight training. Make sure it doesn't interfere with the nutrition and the rest, and making sure you're getting plenty of sleep at night. Again, not going to go too much in depth in all those different fields. We can do some more live streams on those in the future. But I'll see you guys on the next one. We'll be live again on Thursday, 7 p.m. CST.